Welcome back. So, the cows have all put on a bit of weight overnight. I have just topped them up with water, food, all that kind of stuff. We're getting a good amount of slurry per day now. The chickens have had just 3 newborns. That's still pretty good though. 3 newborns over the last evening. And it's now time for us to start the busy task. So, we've got to get field 43 done and field 45. 44 I'm going to leave till last, I think. Let's just have a quick check. So, field 43 was soybeans, so now it'll be wheat. Okay. Field 44 was corn, it's now going to be soybeans. Be good if my soybeans grew at about the same time. Okay, field 45 was wheat, will now be barley. So actually, I think I'm going to change that plan. Let's get this over there. This is going to be done by a worker today. But we'll get over there, we'll get course play set up. At the moment the grass is wet, because that was one of the other jobs we wanted to do, was to get some grass cut. However, grass being wet is not a big deal, because it's going to go into the pit. So, course generation. Field 44, yep. We'll do 4 passes this time. Up, down rows first, yes. Okay, looking good. And we can save this. And field 44. Plant. Right. So yes, that is right, isn't it? Field 44 was corn, will now be soybeans. Let's get over there. Get this going. No, can't get this going just yet, because we can't have a worker until 8 o'clock. Ugh, that is annoying. So we'll just park this over here for now. As soon as the worker turns up, we'll get it started. So for now, handbrake on, engine off. I'll just close this down. Right. I know I said at the very start of this series I wouldn't tab. I'm not doing very well here, am I? Fertilising. I don't really want to do it with the Schluter, it's far too big. So we're going to do it with this guy over here. This guy who's still making the lovely hydraulic noise. Yes, that guy. Stick the forks down over here. In fact, let's lower it a little bit. Oops, let's go backwards. Let's go and get hooked up. So I'm just looking around. I think, yeah, fertiliser is, I think, the only thing I didn't buy. Okay. That's quite annoying. Right, I will get over to the shop then and get this refilled. back in a moment, ready to spray. Okay, refilled, and I've also had to configure the front weight because this was just lifting off. It was terrible. It's still going to struggle a bit when it's full, but it's not so bad. And it's also gone past 8, so let's get over here. It's time for you to do some work. So, drive course. And off we go. Oops. Oh, I hate it when this happens. There we go. Cool. So, let's get back over here. There we go. We can get this spraying done. Not going to take us long at all. I mean, seriously not. Potential harvest yield is not showing. They are germinated though. I have checked. Germination did not fail. So we should, I believe, be able to spray. I'm going to do this from the outside view because, as most people will know, it's really difficult to spray. I honestly have no idea how farmers do it in real life. It's so wide. How do you actually know where you're going? But anyway, we'll just we'll do a little bit just to put a test down. That looks to be working though. And if I go on to here, yes, that is working. Great. So, very quick little time lapse here. This is not going to take long. I think 3 width should do it. Okay, so that's the field done. Now, I've had an idea. I don't know if it's a good idea or not. So we're going to have a quick check now. The grass field needs ploughing, needs lime, 1-stage fertilizing. Okay. At the moment, yes, I think we can go and apply some fertilizer to it. So that's what we will do, because we want the best yield possible from our crops and from the grass. So let's get down there. So let's just get into position. Get it all unfolded. I'm hoping we have enough fertilizer to do this field. I think we should. Of course, having such a big sprayer makes this job a lot easier as well. I am not completely sure where the field boundary is, so we'll just give it a go. Let's see what happens. Well, we're applying. That's good. That's always a very good sign. We've got some weeds in this field as well. I don't really know how to get rid of weeds in grass. I don't know if you just spray them off or weed them in the same way. It's strange. So we can't get right to the edge because, yeah, it's an invisible field boundary, which is interesting. And the Hurleyman is still doing the planting, which is very good for us. Get lots of planting done today. Then that's going to put us in a good position for the upcoming episodes. Of course, there are other fields that need to be sprayed. I could even go and spray field 43, because we can put a preparation level of spraying on it. So, you know, just spray it once before we could put crops in the field. However, I'm not keen on doing that, because I don't think it's that realistic. I do know though that farmers spray herbicide before they plant, but I don't know if that will work on here, whether it will actually make a difference. Two other things that I should point out. One is the current finances. Obviously we've been selling a lot of stuff, so we have a lot of spare money, but that is going to be used for something useful. The other thing is I sold the manure spreader because I couldn't manage to get manure out of the area. However, I discovered a very strange looking pile underneath one of my trailers that also looks like a manure pile. So I'm wondering if there's one of these kind of manure piles set up for the pen, which is outside the pen, and what I was cleaning out was just increasing the cleanliness. So I'm going to have to try and do a little bit of investigation into that, I think, because if manure does work, I need to go and buy a manure spreader again. But of course we don't have any straw at the moment anyway, so it's not such a big deal. You know, it might be worth us having I was going to say a slurry spreader and a manure spreader, but it might be more worthwhile if we get enough straw from all these harvests that we can keep our cows going throughout the entire year on manure. Then it might be worth just leasing a slurry spreader, but we'll have to see once we get to the point where we've got straw how much slurry we actually have. Right, one tiny patch, and like I said, I want the best crop available, so we will spray it off. There we go. So we're not going to put that layer of fertiliser down on the other field. Mainly because I don't want to spend the entire episode spraying. And what we can do is we can go and park this away. Oh, and I'll just quickly show you what I was talking about. Really need to move that weight. So you see here, that looks a lot like manure, but if I go anywhere near it, I don't get a sort of, I don't get any fill values like you do sometimes with manure piles. So I don't know. Also need to work out what I'm going to do with this, because there was a lot of lime in there, and apparently we only needed to lime one field. So it might be better for me to try and store that lime somewhere. It has to be undercover. I could try and store the lime, and we could use that trailer when it comes to harvest as a second trailer. Right, so let's have a quick check of how our worker is doing. Okay, and what does... It's Betty today, okay. Betty says 1 hour left of real time. So that is not going to finish before the end of this episode. That will have to finish afterwards. And if we go and check all of our crops then. So, what was it? The soybeans in field 33, they are growing, that's good. We've got some weeds that need to be sprayed off, but I won't spray field 33 off just yet. Obviously we need ploughing and lime on the grass field, so that's going to be what we plant over winter. We're going to cultivate the soil, plough it, lime it, and then after winter, we'll have to cultivate it again to kill off any weeds, and then we can seed it with grass. And that should give us a much better yield on grass. Now I remember now exactly what I was going to go and do. There's a reason why this pit hasn't been covered. So, who can do the mowing for me? Last time we did it with the hurleyman, because it has the front attachment. I think we might just have to do it. We could do it with this guy, the Agrostar. But it's obviously going to take a little bit longer. Oh. Always look behind you when you reverse. And as a matter of fact, always look in front of you when you go forward. Basically, look in the direction that you're supposed to be travelling. And that's not just for this game, that's for real life as well. These are the two fields then that need to be cut. The one that we just went past, and this much, much smaller one here. You may be thinking, what is the point in mowing this? Well, it's true. There is not much point, but every little bit of grass we can get is worth it, I think, so we're going to do it. Where's the best place for me to start? I think, can we mow this? Is this ours? I'm not sure. That is not ours. Okay. So this tiny, tiny little spot of land is not ours. I think. Turn it on. Pop it down. We're not going to get much grass from this, but every little does help. It's just really to fill that first silage pit. Once the first silage pit has been filled, we won't be bothering cutting this section again, but we might cut the field over the other side again. Because it's our field, and it's extra grass, why not? So we might use it in a second cut. We'll also probably add that field to the list of fields we're going to cut in the... we're going to plough. I'll double check it in a second, but I'm fairly certain it's going to say it needs ploughing and liming. Okay. So that's the first bit done. This is really not going to take long at all, is it? And it doesn't look like there's much here, because this isn't a field technically, so it's not been fertilised, and sections that aren't fields never give that much grass. Which makes sense, because they're not meadows, they're not treated as such, they're not looked after in the same way. So it kind of makes sense, I guess. I say that, it does make sense. It's not I guess, it actually is. It makes sense to me, at least. Doesn't mean it makes sense to everyone. I am waffling completely. Right. Once more around the field should be fine. I am going to have to get a windrower. We've got one at the farm, the one that I forgot to use last time. And we're going to need to get the loading wagon. However, the rules say only one worker, so I couldn't really cheat and use follow me to bring down all the equipment in another tractor. So we'll just do it with this. The Agrostar is going to earn its keep today. There we go. One very, very small section left to do. And luckily, because the ground was wet, this should not turn to hay, not for quite a while, which is obviously what I want. I want grass for the pit, not hay. Oops. Excellent. Just fold that up. It's only going a small distance, but I think it's better to fold it up anyway. And this field is going to take a little bit longer, especially with our single mower. Would have been better if we could have had the double. This tractor can have a front hydraulic. I just don't have it configured to a front hydraulic, and I maybe should do. Because then we could put something on the front. However, it wouldn't have the power, thinking about it. It's only 107 horsepower, and this rear mower requires 80, so yeah, I don't think we'd have the power. That looks better. That looks like a nice crop. A nice crop? I don't know what I mean. I would like to get some more grass fields as well. Something bigger. There is this field here, but it's very small. But I'd like to get something a bit bigger, and then we can maybe lease a forage harvester and do some whole crop grass. You know, just cut it with the machine, put it straight into chaff, rather than what we're doing now, which is cutting it as grass and putting it into a silage pit, and it magically turns into chaff. It'll just be something different. It's something I don't normally do, even on my own single-player games, and that's only because of the cost. You have to make a lot of money from the silage for it to actually be worth it. But if we've got a big enough grass field, and it's been well fertilised and all that kind of stuff, then we should make enough. We shouldn't have to worry. You'll notice I am missing some very small sections. This isn't taking too long, is it? I will, oh, miles off track. I will quickly whiz through this in a time lapse. I don't think I'll even bother putting music on. It's not going to take that long at all to do this. So, yeah, I'll quickly whiz through, and then we can go and get the next piece of equipment. Okay, just a very small section left to do now, which we are just cutting. Obviously it's difficult to know when I'm recording compared to when I'm editing, but I think that took longer than I was expecting in real time, which means it probably will have to be a time lapse that's a little bit longer, probably with a little bit of music as well to keep people from getting too bored. I thought it was going to be, you know, a nothing of a job, but apparently not. Apparently it was a bit more than nothing of a job. And honestly, this is not criticism because I love it. I think it's seasons rather than the map, but the new kind of textures we have for grass do make it very, very difficult to tell where you've cut and where you haven't, unless you're on a certain angle, or unless you have really, really big amounts of grass coming off the field. It can be quite difficult to tell. In certain places there's so little grass here that's been cut that it almost looks like it hasn't been. You know what I mean? The widespread pile of grass is almost indistinguishable against the actual grass that's been cut. So, but I think it's really nice, and this was the thing with FS19. I really did love Seasons, and I couldn't play without it once I had played with it. I think with 19, there's some things they've done which make me still like playing the base game. And there's some things that I do, because I record the series on the This Is Ireland map, that makes me want to play the single player more, because if I want to try something out, I can try it straight away. Whereas on here, you know, if I wanted to go and get a potato washer, or I wanted to try the Global Company hay drying mod, I'd have to wait a long time to be able to use it. I could install it, I could set it up, but I wouldn't be able to use it straight away. Whereas on the single player version, I say single player, it's always single player, on the non-seasons game, you can put it in, you can try it after maybe 1 hour of gameplay time. You know, if you haven't got any grass ready, set the game to fast, speed it up, and you can suddenly have some grass ready. Which you could do on here, but if you did that, yeah, you don't get that many cuts a year, so you'd end up possibly wasting a cut of grass just to try out a hay drying mod, for example. So I think it's good that I'm doing this recording, because it makes me want to keep playing without seasons as well. And there's Betty. What time is it at the moment? 11:30, so Betty's got plenty of time left to get that field finished, and possibly field 43 as well. If we can have 3 fields planted by the end of the day, I will honestly be ecstatic. So we'll just go and get this dropped off, and then of course we need to windrow it, which we've got a nice big windrower in the other shed, so we'll go and get that. Okay, we'll just get this one set up, and then I will quickly get us over to the field. We can get this all windrowed, and then we can come back, get the loading wagon, and bring it all back here. I don't think there's going to be too many loads, which is good, because it's not close. The fields are not close at all to the yard, so I don't want to spend all day going back and forth doing drop-offs. That field, it might be good if we bale it in the future. It might be a better idea instead, but we will have to see, because yeah, baling it might just make it easier for transporting. If it turns out that this first cut has got quite a few loads of grass on it, the second cut, once I've fertilised the field again, it's going to have even more. So, you know, we're going to be making more trips next time. And it's not miles away, but it's not close either. When I saw farmers doing this before, when I was in South Germany, they were taking it not that far away, to be honest. 10-minute drive. But they didn't have just one farmer doing it. Really love that pond, by the way. Or river. marsh, whatever it is. But yeah, they didn't have just one farmer, so they had two machines. So when one was filling, the other one was emptying, and then it would come back, and the next one would be basically ready to go, and they'd start again. They'd switch over. That would be the ideal case, I think. But I don't even know if I could do that on Courseplay. That might have to be something that is done in a multiplayer setup, to be honest. So we'll go and get the other field done quickly, because that's really not going to take long. Every time I say that, actually, things take a really long time, so maybe I won't say it anymore. But I'm sure I will. But it's not a big field. This is a decent sized windrower, so hopefully it won't take long. I'll have to see. Oops. Almost drove off the side then. So we'll get this guy unfolded. See, it's not a ridiculously oversized machine for our farm, which I'm happy about. I didn't want any machines that were just too small. However, I have also discovered that I'm currently playing Marwell Manor on my own, not as a recording, and I bought the Tucano mower from the class pack, the Platinum Edition as it was actually called, and on Marwell Manor, that thing is too small. In terms of Farming Simulator at least. In terms of real life, it might be the perfect size, because it takes me an entire day to harvest, which I think is realistic. But as we all know, Farming Simulator, we expect to be able to harvest our fields in, 2 or 3 in-game hours. So it's definitely not too small, but it just feels it. I guess I'm just a very spoilt farmer in that sense. Real farmers, I guess, would love to be able to get things harvested that quickly. Okay. Great demand at Hackschnitzel. Where is Hackschnitzel? I want to know. And what are they demanding? They are demanding... Oh, wood chips. That's a terrible price. My goodness, is that actually a good price? Wood chips are something that, in the game, they're just not worth doing. And personally, I think Giants need to try and find a way to make wood chips more interesting, because at the moment I don't think they are, not at all. You put so much effort in and you really don't get anything out of it. The only way that I can see wood chips being interesting is with the new Anderson pack, with the bio baler, if you plant the poplar plants, because they regrow. But even still, they're going to have to regrow a lot. And if you compare what you could have made from a crop or grass in the same time, it's always going to lose. It's something nice, it's an interesting thing, doing the wood chips, but it just doesn't yield any money. That's the problem with it. I know I can modify the file in the individual XML for the whichever map I'm on, but what do I set it to? 3 times higher? What's the problem? I'm not entirely sure, but if you look at the price of everything else in the game, it's higher than it is outside of the game. I have checked this because I was trying to I was going to try and set up a US map and adjust the prices on the map to match real life a bit better, and when I checked, prices in the game are just absolutely massive compared to real life. I mean, really, really big. So maybe wood chips are worth that in real life, but then the other crops in the game are not worth that in real life, so shouldn't the wood chips match? I don't know. Again, this is me just talking at the moment. I'm just talking and talking and talking, as you've probably noticed. And I'm not saying anything interesting either. Probably not. Ah, but something that is interesting actually for everyone. Because of when I record these, obviously I'm a little bit out of sync with the real time that they get published. The news came out yesterday that there will not be an FS21 in 2021. In 2020. There could be an FS21 in the future, or maybe it'll be called FS22. Daggerwing did an excellent video about this, but basically, yeah, it's been confirmed that because of the new games consoles, Giants aren't making a game this year. Instead, they're going to release 3 DLCs. The Straw Harvest is one. I am honestly very gutted that the Straw Harvest wasn't released in time for me to do this. It will be hopefully able to be incorporated into my This Is Ireland series sometime near the end. I don't know. And if not, it will definitely be incorporated into the next map I do, which I already know what it is, but it just depends on the timing. It's a map by Black Sheep Modding, one which was actually my favourite on FS19, which is why I would really like to move there in my next non-season series, but it's just a case of whether it's released in time. I may have to extend the series very slightly, just so that I can use the map. If it looks like it's going to be ready close to that time. It's going to be miles off, then I won't be able to. Right, I am almost done here. Almost. I think what I'll do is I'll get this field sprayed off camera at the end of the episode. I think it needs it, and we should do it. Because the name of the game is as much yield as possible. And this is actually a field, so I can do it here. So just a couple more. Really not many now. And then we'll go back, we'll get the loading wagon, and we can get it all picked up. Hopefully it won't take too long. But on the other hand, hopefully it does take a long time, because if it does, that means we've got plenty of grass to go into our silage clamp. And the silage clamp, I will also get that flattened off screen. You've already seen me do it once today. Whatever we put in from these two fields will be flattened off screen, and I will cover it. We'll get it to start fermenting. It should be ready in plenty of time then for winter. Now let's get back to the farm and get that loading wagon picked up. So that is the windrower dropped off. You might be able to see in the top left corner, soybeans are almost out. So we are going to need to get our worker Betty refilled. Now I'll hook this up, and then we will just kick Betty out of the tractor for a minute so that we can go and get her refilled. There is some seed on the other side of here, so that should work fine. So what I'll do is I'll just go and park this in the field or on the side of the road. She's doing an excellent job. Almost completely finished now. There we go. I'll just park right here. Hopefully we're not blocking the road there. Oh, we are a little bit. Although nobody seems to drive up here. There's no traffic in this area, which is interesting. So, where are you, Betty? All the way up there. Okay. But you've only got 3 soybeans left, so I think it would be a wise idea to stop you here. If I can find my mouse, that is. There we go. Come on then, Betty. Let's go get you refilled. So it looks like I've got more seed than I need for the year. For the fields, at least. Once I have to do the grass fields as well, we might be down to a low level, but I did buy a lot of seed when I was setting this up. So at least we know we won't run out anytime soon. There we go. I'm not sure how much is in that bag. Enough is the answer. This tractor's looking very dirty. It's going to need a clean later, I think. Stuck. There we go. Yeah, don't try turning as you're going through a narrow doorway. A little bit of a stupid idea. Make sure you're out of the doorway first. Go up here then. Obviously we've got tyre tracks, which is going to help us find exactly where we were. This field will be sprayed once it has germinated, which will be next time. Definitely not this time. Oops. I hate that it does that. Turn the solar on. Drop it down. We can start. And then that's it. Is it Betty again? Who is it? No, is this Franz then? If we tab all the way through. Franz! Hey, hey, Franz! Right, over to the field we go. Let's get this grass picked up. Get that clamp finished. That will then be obviously all of our winter silage in the clamp, which will be good for us. Like I said, we might make some either hay bales or silage bales out of these 2 fields next time, because it does seem to be a fairly long distance. And looking at the size of those swaths, they didn't look enormous, but they were bigger than I thought they were going to be, so we might fill up a little bit too quickly. Here we are then. I am not entirely sure how the best way to record this is, whether I'll do it as a time lapse or whether I'll jump cut. I think it's going to completely depend, to be honest, on how much grass we're getting. If we're getting a ridiculous amount of grass, then it's going to be a lot of trips back to the yards, just a tip, which is a little bit boring. So I'm not really sure yet. Oh my goodness. Let's just check something. What's the power requirement for this? 60. We've got 107, but we're still really struggling up this hill. Which is not good. You know, it's a fairly steep bank. But it's not that bad. Not really. This might take a little bit longer than I expected, just because of how slow the tractor is moving. It is getting a fairly good amount of grass though, especially considering this isn't a meadow, this is just a random spot of grass here. Seems to be filling up quite well. And of course, in seasons, if you don't pick the grass up, it rots, which is not something I mind, actually. So if there's a little bit of grass left on the floor, if I'm not in seasons, I hate it, because it just stays there and it looks stupid. But as this is seasons and it rots, that actually gets rid of the issue for me, because it will delete the grass for me. Okay. That was a pretty good amount, I have to say. No, it's not the best amount in the world, but it's also nowhere near the worst. And this little tractor shouldn't be struggling, not really, because the horsepower requirement for the machine is 60, the tractor's got 107. So there should be 40 horsepower left to get it up that hill. I don't really see what the issue is, but it thinks there's an issue. The bank is just too steep for it. But like I said, oh no, I put the pickup up, not down. Stupid boy. There we go. Alright, let's try that again. And yeah, like I said, we're getting a healthy amount of grass from here. It's nothing to write to the bank manager about, but it's good. Of course, it just means a little bit of extra silage later on. Silage is worth a lot more than grass, and we don't really have to do anything to it. We just give it a little bit of flattening, leave it for a bit of time, and it turns into extra money. There's not really any extra work that's required with it, so I'm happy with that. This is the last bit from this field. I think the other field I will try it as a time lapse. I may end up having to sort of cut out the trips back to the farm or put them into a really ridiculously high speed, because I don't want it to be really boring, just back and forth to the yard most of the time. Tractor only got 18% damage. It still seems to be really struggling. I don't get it at all. Just not got any speed at the moment. Maybe this load is just a little bit too much for it. But anyway, let's get this onto a time lapse. Right, so that is all the grass picked up, apart from this one very, very small little piece right here. You'll notice that I changed tractors. You'll probably have also noticed that we just couldn't make the turn. There were two areas of this field where the Deutz-Fahr just could not handle it. So although I didn't want to use this tractor because it's just too big, it's too heavy, it would cause massive damage to the grass field if we use something like this, we just needed the power. So I think in future we'll have to use the Hurleyman. The Hurleyman is a big tractor as well, but it's not as big as this. I think this has got more power, if I'm correct. Let me try and check without crashing. Let's have a look. 240, 190 for the Hurleyman, but 190 should be enough. This thing is just too big, really. But we didn't have much choice. We couldn't really harvest that field. Harvest? We weren't harvesting. Couldn't really pick up the grass on that field very well with the Deutz-Fahr, so there was no choice. We have tipped once as well, which was 24,500, so this is another 18,500, say. So that would be 43,000 litres of grass extra. That's really good, because I think we had 75,000-ish from the big field. So this is a really good amount. So like I said, I will spray off that field, get some fertiliser on there. I'll do that off camera. I will also compact the silage off camera, and we'll let the worker finish. I think what I'll do is I'll get the worker going on field 43, and by the time we come back on the next episode, either we will be able to finish it or the worker will be able to. They've almost finished that field, but there are some missed spots. You can see them if they come out of the cab. They were doing some slightly strange turns. You probably saw it in the time lapse if it wasn't too quick. Not quite sure what those were about, but yeah, we will obviously go around and tidy that up. But yeah, get the worker going on the other field. Field 43, I'll just have to check in a second what it's supposed to be, because I do not remember. But we now have a really good amount of silage in here, or chaff, which is going to help us when it comes to wintertime. Because I think what we'll probably do is we'll use this chaff, or silage once it's finished, for the cows, either to make TMR or just to feed them, and then anything from the second and third cut we'll be able to sell. So if we just have a quick look at the map, see how we're doing. So you can see a couple of spots here and there. In general, Franz is finished. It doesn't say how long left. It's done this to me before. It kind of freezes up and it doesn't know when it's finished and when it's started. It's a bit of a bug. Sometimes you just have to reload it. It thinks that it's still at 0.1697, which means when it gets to the end, it will start trying to go again. Completely pointless. So, field 43 is the next one I'll probably get him to do. We've only got 1 hour left though, so he's not going to be able to get everything done. Maybe it's not worth bothering. But we'll check for next time. Field 43 was soybeans. It will be wheat next time. Okay. So as you see, we've got 2 lots of soybeans. And we've got the wheat and the barley. The wheat and the barley are going to be our straw crops, really. We're going to use the straw from that to obviously keep our cows bedded during the winter. But anyway, I'll let this guy finish. I've got a couple of things to do off camera before the next episode. But for now, thank you very, very much for watching. I will see you again soon, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye bye.